Good morning and welcome. Happy Friday. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. And how you doing? It has been, what a week. Absolutely exhausted. I got Sarah's in here today. Arlene is here today. Brooke was here this morning boxing up stuff. It's been just a crazy week. I know Jason has been worked to death, but we're almost done. It is Friday, so you know what that means. You know, normally we put a couple figures of Jack in the coffee. It's been a tough week. We better go three figures. I mean, it's been one of those weeks. 800-951-0592, a new record high gold price again this morning. We had all the contracts. So, you know, right now there's an August contract for gold, then an October contract, a December contract, February, and then we go into next year. That December contract broke $2,000 this morning, and I think that's just the sign that you get ready. I think we're going to eclipse $2,000 here, whether it's today, Monday, but it looks like that is now inevitable. We'll keep our eyes peeled here. I just was talking to Jason. We're kind of trying to figure out. You know, we haven't had big pullbacks. Every pullback we've had doesn't last the day, or like yesterday, you kind of had an opportunity, but by the end of the day, yesterday, gold had come all the way back. Right, and now you got gold sitting here at 1980, spot gold at 1980. Got us, I think we got, let me just check here. Hold on a minute. I apologize. Yeah, we got as high as 1987 in the spot month. Like I said, the December contract was 2005, 2006, and that's kind of been the December contract. The brief little pullbacks that we've had were caused when that contract hit $2,000, and then we had these sell-offs. Like I said, most of them didn't even last the day. Today we cleared that hurdle. Now we got a new high here, 1987, a new high for the spot month, and like I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened today. Wouldn't be surprised if it happens on Monday. Where gold crest $2,000. I don't think it stops there. You know, I don't think when you break the $2,000, all these computers do the same thing. And if it breaks $2,000 and we don't get a pullback, I mean, it's not stopping at $50, right? It's not, 2150 is not going to, 20 or 2050 it's not going to do it. I mean, we're probably, I think anyway, before we, and again, it may not be a straight line, but before we see any major resistance for gold, I'm thinking $2,300. You know, we break 2,000. I think that puts us to 23. Now, again, not in a straight line, but I think that's probably the next battleground for gold. We may stay at around that 2,300 level for a while, right? As they got to battle through. I think obviously no agreement on stimulus. No agreement on stimulus means higher gold price, because now they're going to be worried. And one of the things that you're thinking about, where do you go? Right? I mean, do you keep buying Tesla? Right? Do you keep buying Amazon? Do you keep buying Facebook? Do you keep buying Apple? See, Apple stock split got it 4 for 1. Right? Because they want to get the price down, because they want more people to try to buy it, because, it's so expensive. They do the old stock splits. But do you keep buying those? I don't know, maybe. But most likely, right, the big gains have already been made there. Then you look at the bond market. Right, today, the 10-year note's at 2.55. I'm sorry, 0.55, 255. Oh, 0.55. The bond market's been, really 0.6 for a while. There's no money to be made there. I mean, for you to make money in bonds, you'd have to see the yield go to like 0. right? The money that was already made. Remember when a 10-year note was yielding, 1.2%, and then all of a sudden it crashed down to this 0.6, and so it's hard to make money there, right? Gold is about the only place. The dollar today, big news on the dollar. Remember, we've been looking for 92.80. I've been talking about this for a week and a half now. We actually, during the night, well, it was actually early this morning, the dollar hit a new low at 92. It was 92.50. I'm going to pull it up here. Sorry about that. 92.54. Right now, it hasn't closed there yet. Right now, the dollar's at 93.08. But again, falling. We broke that 92.80. We get a close below 92.80. And now we're going to have a dollar that's going to go into the 80s. That's just going to firm it up. And again, it's not going to be a straight line, but the dollar is with us. The bond market, it's a hard place to go to make any money, especially now. Nobody's paying any of their bills, right? We don't know about moratoriums on your evictions and commercial-backed real estate now. The Congress is talking about bailing them out. I mean, the bond market's a dangerous place right now, so you don't want to go there. When you look at Wall Street, you're like, well, I mean, if you don't buy Apple or Amazon or one of those other ones and they're at all-time record highs, you probably don't want to go there. That's why we're seeing so much money flow into the gold markets. And this is why I think, in the next several trading days, I think we're going to crest 2,000 and then again setting us up for that 2,300, then to 25, and then to 3. You know how it goes. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe Jaquid here on a Friday. We had some economic data out today. We had income and spending data out. We had consumer confidence out. The confidence number, not good. The income number was good because, that extra $600 had a good number there. The spending, not so much. But again, Congress, no agreement. Looks like everybody next week is only going to get what the state gives you. So that's going to be a big impact on the income levels. Of course, again, even going from 600 to 200, which is what the Republican wants, the income numbers now are going to be heading down. I guess that's my point here. So the whole second half of this year, look for personal income to be falling. Obviously, that's going to have a huge effect on the spending. Same thing on the evictions now, because there's no cover. We'll see what the impact on that is. Yesterday, I told you Congress is now talking about, do we got to bail out commercial real estate? This morning, Dunkin' Donuts going to be closing 800 U.S. locations. They're going to be closing, I think, 1,150 worldwide, but 800 locations here in the U.S. Raytheon, the defense contractor, announced 8,000 job cuts. Motor City Casinos in Detroit, 2,500 job cuts. The mayor of Las Vegas came out and said it's going to be years before Las Vegas recovers. And, of course, we told you about the casinos now gearing up for hundreds of thousands of job cuts across the casinos in Las Vegas. The airlines, right, we know that hundreds of thousands of job cuts are coming there. And it just, man, I don't get it. I don't understand. We've got to get this thing under control and try to get the economy to open up. But now as we look at socialism, we keep talking about it. We're already there. I hate to say it, but we're already there. According to the latest data out there now, more than 25% of all U.S. households. So think about this. Just think about where you live, okay? Maybe you go out to your front porch and you look at all of your neighbors. You just count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 out of 4, and a little over 1 out of 4, but we'll just say 1 out of 4 all of their income comes from the government, whether it be welfare, whatever it may be, unemployment, food stamps, you name it. 1 out of every 4, if you live in an apartment complex, right? 1 out of every 4 doors, right? Count 4 to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 out of every 4 now is getting all of their money from the government, and they're saying in May, $4.9 trillion annualized. In other words, about $5 trillion. So you think about, we've got an economy of about $25 trillion, of $20 trillion. $5 trillion of it now is people that get money from the government. The federal government spending, we don't even know, $5-6 trillion. Right? It's probably going to be closer to 6, maybe 7 trillion. You throw that on top. I mean, you're thinking about an economy where over half of the money spent is government. You know, and you think about the founding fathers, and go back, limited government and all this, and now we've got this behemoth that most people don't even realize how big it's become. And now we're sitting there and we're talking about, essentially almost a doubling of the amount of households pre-COVID to now reliant upon the government for their income. And you start thinking about, where does this all shake out? How do we stop spending so much money? And every day this week, I've named 3 or 4 companies a day. And listen, those are just big ones. Right? There's thousands of them every day that are closing. They're laying off, or they're closing altogether. You know what? I was saving this. There's that restaurant in Colorado I think it was in Castle Rock. That CNC breakfast and kitchen. They had tried to defy the government, the governor's order, and stayed open. I don't know if you remember that. That was probably like a month ago. Well, they announced earlier this year they're closing permanently. Just another example. They said that the lease was up, and they just said, hey, it didn't make sense to renew it. And we're just done. And you're going to see this play out over and over and over again. I mean, when you look at McDonald's saying we're closing restaurants, sales down 20% at McDonald's. Taco Bell, sales down 15%, right? These are big numbers. And if they're down there, imagine how much they're down for the mom and pops. And that's really, I think, the biggest issue as we look at where are we going to be just short term to the end of the year. I think we're going to see an unemployment rate stunningly stubborn in the double digits. And really, they're going to misrepresent it, okay? They're going to misrepresent it because of those contract workers. But the unemployment rate right now is 20%. Now, they're not going to admit to that, but that's what it is. And I think it stays there. This is how I feel this is going to go down. I think that we're going to see the government squabble all next week. And you're going to get one of those days, a fear day, where Wall Street is going to let Congress know, stop messing around. We need something. These people need something. We'll get a stimulus bill, I think, before the middle of August. If it goes beyond that, look out. But I almost will guarantee it, this is just my opinion, we're going to see another bailout of something, whether it be for the consumer. My guess is states, commercial real estate, right? The consumer itself, right? All of these things. I think we're going to hear talk of another round before the end of the year. And I think that's what pushes gold, to that 2,500, 3,000 level is going to be that next round. And I think it's unavoidable. We've already said it. Listen, $1 trillion isn't enough. The Democrats want $3 trillion. That's not enough. When you look at the worst GDP report in the country's history happened yesterday, right? Down 33%. Now, I think it's going to bounce. Third quarter is going to bounce, but maybe it's going to be up 15 or 20%. Let's say 20. Okay? That means it's really still a decline of over 13%. And I don't see it getting better. The doctors are out, and I know we don't know which doctor do we believe, who do we believe. I think we're starting to get a little more truth, which is coronavirus isn't going away. I don't know that we could ever develop a true vaccine, but I think we're going to get better at treating it. But at the end of the day here, this thing is highly contagious. I mean, you look at it, there's another baseball team, another game suspended, another team, somebody tested positive. I mean, you can't stop it. You got NBA players living in a bubble, right, to try to stop it, and it still gets in. We're going to have to figure out a way to deal with this thing and open up the economy at the same time, and we're going the other way. My oldest son is college. They canceled the football season this week. Then they came out the other day and told us, you know what, nobody on campus for the whole fall, winter semester. Maybe we'll open back up. Maybe they're saying we're not even going to say whether or not we're going to come back on campus in the spring. Nobody on campus. So, and you start thinking about school after school after school. We've got this divide. My guess is about half of the schools in the country are going to be closed to students. And what is the economic impact of that? It's huge. It's huge. Right? And nobody's on campus. You have all these college towns where people are reliant. They're not there. They're not spending the money, right? They're not doing this. They're not getting fed. The cafeteria workers, the janitors. And listen, we know. Think about where you live. Now think about the major colleges in your town. It's the one place there always growth. ASU, they're always building something. U of A, always building something. NAU, always building something. Grand Canyon, those are the four-year schools here in Arizona. They're always building something. Same thing applies to the small schools. In Colorado, all those Division II schools you got up there. You think about the NAIA schools and the D3 schools, and you start thinking about, hey, listen, half of them, maybe more than half, aren't going to have anybody on campus. It's going to happen. Layoffs. Layoffs are going to happen. And again, I think, once again, Trump wants everything to reopen. We need to do it, but you need to be able to provide the best medical, and we're just not there. I mean, look at Eric. Keep him in your thoughts and your prayers. It's getting tough there for him. We really need everybody praying for him, and it's a thing where, are we getting better at treating it? I think so. But the realities are that we're in this grind. It's not going to change. You got companies, major companies saying, listen, we're not traveling. No one's coming to work till summer of 2021. You think about Las Vegas right now. There was a convention that's been there every year. 170,000 people go to this convention. Zero. And the impact on all of that. And it's not just Las Vegas. You think about that's 170,000 flights, right? Rental cars and you think about eating out and the food and the gambling and all. I mean, it's incredible when you start thinking about it. And we haven't seen the worst of it. And the reason why is when we shut down the first time, The government just threw money at it. And everything was supposed to be shut down, reopened, Corona's under control, everything's supposed to be open, right? Disneyland's supposed to be open, Las Vegas is open, right? All these places. And then what happened? Right? Oh, here comes another wave. Right? Here comes another wave. And it was so funny is that early on, remember, they told us there was going to be a wave, and then it was supposed to die down during the summer. By the way, 118 degrees. It is incredibly hot here in Phoenix. And it hasn't stopped it, right? The heat was supposed to stop it. It didn't. And we were supposed to get another wave this fall. I'm hoping we don't. If another wave does come, all bets are off. I mean, how much more money can the government spend? Again, we're going to spend something here. I think in the next 2 weeks we'll have something. I think. It's going to be, worst case, best case scenario, it's $1 trillion, right? Worst case, probably $3 trillion. And then fast forward another couple of months, and we're going to have to be talking about another one. Pedro Radio News Hour. I know, maybe it's four fingers to Jack today. We'll be back after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily broadcast from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, a national volunteer organization founded by Phyllis Schlafly and continuing to uphold her legacy by opposing radical feminism and representing a traditional conservative perspective in our nation's capital. Now, the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
Title IX has been used by liberals as a political bludgeoning weapon for decades. Title IX is a civil rights law which was meant to root out genuine discrimination against women in the field of education. But left-wing bureaucrats hijacked it as a tool to shut down sports teams for boys. Now President Trump is putting the shoe on the other foot. Using Title IX, the Trump Education Department made it known that girls have a right to compete on sports teams against only girls. Boys don't have a right to compete against girls. That sounds a lot like common sense, but we're living in a day when common sense is becoming far less common. The left is making a huge push to blur the line between boys and girls. They want us to believe that your gender depends on how you feel at any point in time. But this flies in the face of science itself. It's a basic fact of biology that boys and girls are different. The vast majority of girls cannot compete against the vast majority of boys. Boys have more testosterone, which means more muscle growth and a more rugged bone structure. Biology doesn't care if a boy says he feels like a girl. If he gets on a wrestling mat with a girl, he's got an unfair advantage. Trump's Department of Education is doing the right thing by prioritizing facts over political correctness. When girls lose sports opportunities, they lose the chance to earn valuable scholarships that could change their lives. Opening girls' sports to boys also prevents girls from learning the valuable lessons that sports teach. Our girls need to know that hard work is the surest path to success. We have to look past the politically correct talking points if we're going to find the best way to foster a positive environment for our boys and for our girls. Attaching the label transgender can't change basic biological realities. Science supports the conservative principle here, and the Department of Education did the right thing by protecting our girls from those that want to twist science to achieve their political goals.
Thanks for listening to the Phyllis Schlafly Report. You'll be glad to know the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly continues, upheld by Ed Martin, president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Chairman Helen Marie Taylor, Treasurer John Schlafly, a full staff in St. Louis and our nation's capital, and thousands of citizen volunteers, her Eagles, across the country. You can be part of that legacy at phyllisschlafly.com. That's phyllisschlafly.com.
800-951-0592. Silver yesterday, the pullback's over. Down $1 yesterday, up $1 today. $24.25 on silver. We talked about gold already. Another, at least an intraday high here on spot gold. The big news though today was that December gold contract broke through that 2,000. The dollar broke below the 92.80. we're setting ourselves up now. So that we needed that to happen. The next step is close. Gold closes above the 2,000. The dollar closes below the 92.80, and then we're on the next leg. So the next leg for gold will be a close over 2,000. That will start the next leg higher. And I'm saying that next leg, I think, and nobody knows for certain, probably about a $300 leg before we see any major resistance. Now, it's not going to do it all in one day. It's not going to be a straight line. But I think the next $300 in gold above 2,000 is going to come relatively quickly. Then the next move is going to be, okay, how bad is it? Right? When we get into October, what are we looking at? Already 25% of households are reliant on the government right now. Let me give you a great example. California Pizza Kitchen. Looks like they're going to be done. Right? They filed for bankruptcy. Let me read to you, though, what they're up against. Sales were down 40% during the last week of June. Okay, so this was June. They said that cash flow was negative $18.9 million. Now you're like, well, okay, yeah, but, and that was March through June, by the way, March through June. But here was the thing. It was negative $18.9 million, but the company didn't pay any rent from March to June. They didn't pay any of their loans. They didn't make any interest payments, anything. And they still were losing money. Now, they filed for bankruptcy, and none of the people, the plan they put out, all the lenders have rejected it. They've got themselves up for sale, but it looks like, and who knows, maybe somebody will salvage it, but at least it looks like California Pizza Kitchen, they're going to have to liquidate. And this is going to be playing out over and over and over again. A lot of these companies, and let's just call them the mid-tier to bottom-tier companies out there. They're not paying their rents. They're not making their interest payments, right? And they're still losing money. Companies can't survive. You lose 40% of your sales. You're done. You're over. You're out of business. And if you're not out of business, what did you do? Well, I laid people. I laid off half of my employees, or I closed half of my offices. You're basically cutting costs dramatically. And this is playing out over and over and over again. Wait till we, in October, and I keep talking about October now. Wait till we get to October. How big is it going to be? Everybody right now saying, hey, 30, 40% of these smaller type businesses, and you can argue whether California Pizza Kitchen is a small business or not, are going to disappear. And you think about, go back to when Obama was in office, and we kept talking about the jobs that were being created. Right? They were waiter, waitress, bartender, hospitality, right, like the hotels and vacation spots. I mean, these were the vast majority of the jobs. And now we're saying, hey, 30, 40% of the people in those industries are going to be out of work. And then how many of them that are left, hey, I'm making a lot less. Yeah, I got a job, but we only can have 25% of the capacity in here. The tips are down, right? Everyone's just ordering takeout. I'm not making the money I used to make. I mean, this is kind of the situation we're in. I think it's going to take a while. I mean, I don't know, three years maybe? How long? People keep talking about vaccine, and of course the vaccines really aren't vaccines. Hey, you get a shot and you should never get it again. No, these are more like, hey, if you get sick, if you do get it, we're going to give you this. At least I think. I don't know. I mean, if you want to believe Fauci, and I know, listen, Fauci has about zero credibility in a lot of people's eyes. Of course, was talking about, hey, the mask isn't enough. You need to wear the eye goggle protection. Today or yesterday, he came out and said, hey, this thing's not going away. It's going to be with us forever. Things of that nature. I don't know. But I do know this. This isn't going to be solved next month. This isn't going to be solved by Christmas. I mean, we're going to be talking about, 2021, 22, 23 before people even think about going back to a normal life. I mean, I'll bring it up again, and I know it's different this time. The fastest vaccine ever was the mumps. 4 years. That was the fastest ever. Now, granted, the government is flipping the bill for all of these all these pharmaceutical companies that are pursuing the vaccine and coming up with these. They're all getting money from the government. The government is paying for it all. And I told you, I took a drug. It worked for me. I was lucky. That company that produced that drug, Gilead, is getting paid by the government. My wife tells me she's the one, my wife runs our house. I don't even know how much money's in our bank account. She does. $3,000 is what it cost me to receive that drug. Now, it saved my life. At least I believe it saved my life. And I'm happy to pay it because I'm still here. But when you start thinking about, and I think I talked about, I think it was Moderna yesterday who's going to charge $50 or $60 for the vaccine, and all these companies are getting paid by the government, and then they're turning around and whacking all of us. And it's frustrating. And I don't know how all of this ends. And like I said, I don't know how that turns into a vaccine. I mean, maybe we can treat it better. But without that, 2021 is going to be tough. I mean, I know right now it's a face mask everywhere. And causes me to think, I don't want to go out now. Now I just don't want to do it. And I'm not one of those guys. And I've said all along we shouldn't close down and look at what's happened here. I mean, my uncle's barely hanging on. Oh, it's hard. It's so hard to know what to do. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Let me tell you what we have today. There are utility silver, junk silver, rolls of $50, quarters, dimes. They're available, but they're back to the price that they were the other day. So yesterday you saved $10 a roll on the $50 and the quarters and $5 a roll on the dimes. Silver's up a dollar, went back up to where it was. Rolls of $50 at $2.35. Rolls of quarters at $2.30. Rolls of dimes at $115. Silver Eagles, again, they're just not out there. And now we're seeing prices now approaching $12 and $13 over spot on Silver Eagles, and even now in the junk silver, the utility silver, you're seeing premiums rise. All of that because the mint just gave up. Said, we just can't make them. Just can't make them. Can't keep up. I think you're going to see higher silver premiums. I was hoping it was going to come down as the price went up. Remember, I said if silver can go across 20, we'll get this two-way market. That hasn't happened. Now silver's almost $25. Still hasn't happened. The mint's throwing its arms up. I think the silver premiums are just going to be with us probably all of this year, all of next year. I mean, I hopefully not for the next 3 years, but don't be surprised if it is. So that's where we have a line, and I told you this earlier in the week. We've been around a long time. We have a lot of connections out there, but we've got access to. We had about over 100 bags and they were all halves, quarters, dimes already. Just this 5 days of this week, there's 93 bags left. So we've already sold 7 bags. This is how fast. I don't know how long it'll last. But without that, I don't know where the next bag comes from. But now, again, 90-some bags, still a lot of bags. So we got some bags. They're expensive, but we got them. The gold side, we were running $5 libs. There's 30 of them left. They should be $600 today. I just couldn't do it. I know we've been running them at $5.90, but I got to raise the price. $5.95 for today. This is the last day of them. $5.95 on the $5 Liberties. I do have some $10 Liberties available. I've probably got about 40 of those at $1,140. So you got 2 choices there. $5.95 on the $5 Liberty, $1,140 on the $10 Liberty at 800-951-0592. Gold's up. Bet up, $25 right now on gold. Just under $1,980. Silver is up almost a whole dollar now, $24.30 on silver. The Dow, the Nasdaq was positive. It's now negative. The Dow is down 270 points. And I'm kind of surprised. The big tech guys all announced yesterday after the bell. Pretty much by and large, pretty good reports out of like Apple and Amazon and all of them. But the internals on the Dow turning the ugly side. Oil's down as well. The only thing up, gold. Like I said, we talked about the dollar right about 93. Inter-day, though, we broke through 92.80, went all the way down to 92.54. The 10-year note at 0.59 or 0.55, excuse me, 0.55. And again, not a lot of money there. You can't make any money in the bond market, right? And you're looking at Wall Street. God, do I just keep buying Apple and Amazon and Facebook and Google and hope and pray, or do I pick the right pharmaceutical company, or are we kind of at the top here, and where else do I put my money? And gold really is. It seems like it's about the only place left. You know, when you look around and you kind of see what's happening and you look at all the spending that's happening, you're starting to pay attention now to the dollar falling. Gold just looks like a great place to be. Peter Schiff was out. You know, we haven't talked about him a lot, but he was out talking about the dollar's not going down, it's going to crash. I don't know. I want it to be organized. I want it to be orderly. All of you out there should want it to be orderly. Just, you know, slowly, little by little. I think today set us up. The dollar's going back into the 80s. And, you know, we run these cycles. You know, we talked about this, these 7 to 10 year cycles in the dollar. I said, I think it was like last week, hey, we're now in the new down cycle for the dollar. Remember the last down cycles going back to the 80s. The dollar was at 84. Then the dollar went into the low 70s. Now I'm saying, hey, the dollar's probably going to finish this thing somewhere in the 60s. And that's going to be as we approach 2030. Right? We don't want it to do that, you know, by 2025 or 2023. That'd be terrible. I think in that process between today and the end of the dollar down cycle, we're going to see a digital currency. That's just what I think. And I think they're going to pitch it as, hey, this is what's going to save us, right? You think about a dollar in the 60s. Yesterday I told you about what China, or 2 days ago I told you about China and what they're doing with their cross-border trade, really bailing out on the dollar. And I think we're going to see more of that. And again, what else are you going to do when you start looking around? What, are you going to buy yen? You're going to go buy the euro? I mean, the euro's doing better than we are. You know, the European, their GDP second quarter, it was only down 12%. You know, we are down 33%. Now, granted, you can argue our economy was much better than theirs to start with. But Make sure you're hedged. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you're prepared. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment of the week coming up. Final segment here on a Friday, and right on cue. GlaxoSmithKline said that the federal government of the United States is going to pay them $2.1 billion for development, including clinical trials, manufacturing, scale-up, and delivery of a vaccine. They said that they're going to supply 100 million doses of an experimental COVID-19 vaccine. We don't know which one. Something. I don't know how we spend $2.1 billion on a vaccine that we don't even know what it's going to be yet, but we are. The government also said that they have a further option for the supply of an additional 500 million doses longer term as part of its Operation Warp Speed program. Yes, Scotty, we need warp speed or we're all dead. Crazy. So do you figure there's 2.1 million, and then if we need the other 500, that's another 10 billion. No worries. The Dow's down over 300 points now. The S&P's down 24. The Nasdaq's down 20. Gold's up almost $30. Silver's up $1 today. I've given you all the details on that, but I just want you to think about this, okay? I want you to think about this. The Fed is going to buy, and let's just say Deutsche Bank's right, $20 trillion worth of stuff, okay? We know they're about 7 or 8 trillion now, so somewhere between, let's just say, somewhere between 10 to $20 trillion is going to be on their balance sheet, okay? And it's all debt, right? Most of it bad debt. And they're going to have to choose. As the dollar's falling, what are their choices going to be? If interest rates start rising, right, they're going to be forced to get rid of all that debt on their balance sheet because they'll lose all of that. Could you imagine? They're buying all this bad debt and then rates explode to the upside. The losses that the central bank would take, they'd be forced to dump it all. And this is one of the things Peter Schiff's talking about. Hey, listen, sooner or later, a decision is going to have to be made. Do you defend the dollar? Or do you let it collapse, right? And I think, my opinion is, I think they're going to let it collapse because they're going to usher in the digital currency. That's just my thought. But the choices are not good, especially as the Fed's balance sheet explodes. Now you've got the federal government's problem on top of the Fed's problem. And if interest rates start rising, then we all got a problem. 800-951-0592, the last of the $5 liberties at $5.95. I've got a handful of $10 liberties, and I've got those at $1,140 at 800-951-0592. Utility silver, right? The junk silver rolls a $0.50 at $2.35, rolls a quarters at $2.30, dimes at $1.15. By the way, Phoenix, we were waiting for. I ran out of quarter rolls. Those landed today. We've boxed them. Get ready. Those are coming out, and we're right on schedule here. We've caught up. It took us all week to finally catch up. We got all caught up here, and we're ready for business. 800-951-0592. Please keep Eric in your thoughts and your prayers. We need to double and triple up for us. Everybody enjoy the weekend. Stay safe. We'll be back Monday. Take care. God bless everybody. We'll be back Monday.